Hello and welcome back to Shame to Shine. I'm Steph. I'm really excited to be here today with Kelly Boyer, who is an intuitive advisor and hypnosis consultant. And we're going to dive more into that later on in the interview, but we'll jump right in to start because Kelly, you have a beautiful transformation from silent survival, which I think a lot of people can relate to
Mhm.
soul-led clarity.
Yeah.
So, so let's dig in right into it. Can you tell us about this period of your life that you would call silent survival?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share my story because I do think it's so important that we do embrace and share our stories because that's where true healing and growth happens. So, thank you. I truly appreciate it. So, yes, so interesting. From a very young age, I was very intuitive.
Mm,
Like I played with spirits
mm,
and disincarnates and galactics, you name it, they were in my room and we were playing. And
mm,
I just thought it was just a normal everyday thing. The more that I started to share with my family, the more I started to become kind of outcasted and ostracized. And I always thought it was really weird because my mom was always very intuitive, but that was a side of her that she didn't want.
mm,
So she didn't want that in me.
mm,
So, you know, uh, it really, my silence really took place at the age of 4.
mm,
And I had an incident where my brother wanted to play with me and I was in my room playing with my Barbies. I didn't want to play boy things. I needed my solitude. And it was in my solitude that I would get to play with these beings that were just so loving to me. Like I can tell you that before the age of 4, I really understood what unconditional love was
mm,
and I loved being in it. So, anyways, my brother, who does have some mental health stuff, decided that he was going to destroy his bedroom. I had no recollection, I had no idea that that's what was going on. And the one thing that I loved so much was when my dad would get home from work because wherever I was at, he would come into my room and he would hug me and ask me how my day was. And that was like such a special moment. So much so that my ears were so in tune that I could hear his car down the street. So I knew he was coming. And so it was just like any other day, totally excited. My dad was coming home. And this time when he came into my room, it was different and I could feel it. And I remember this so clearly, just feeling terror,
mm,
but I didn't know what that terror was.
mm.
And, and it was, and now I look back on it and it's not that I'm laughing about it, but I realize like when you hindsight is 2020, like when you really look back on it and you're like, so ridiculous, right? But so anyways, my dad came in and was so angry at me because my brother had told this very fabricated story of how I went into his room and destroyed everything um and that was a lot just that it's just how my brother always has been my entire life to this day, still the same way.
Mm.
And I remember in my little 4-year-old brain going, what? Like mom was sitting there on the couch. My room and his room were at opposite ends. Like she would have to know that I walked over there and walked out. And I hadn't left my room for hours. And I was so confused. And my dad was so angry. He started beating me.
Mhm.
And I just remember crying, asking him to stop. And of course, my dad's famous line, if you keep crying, I'll really give you something to cry about. And that was the day that my tears literally dried up
Mm.
because I did not want to have what happened to me happen again. And then just from there, like it just kept continuing. Uh, I remember like at the age of 10, um, Department of Child Safety got involved. And that's when the beating stopped, but not the emotional abuse. My dad did back off then, but my mom, I never realized how damaging my mom was. And she had been so emotionally and mentally abusive to me in ways to the point where I did become silent.
Mhm.
I became like, and it was emotional abuse across every spectrum of my life. But that's when I really became silent. And it was almost like I crawled into this hole and forgot who I was. And that feeling of unconditional love went away because if people could be that cruel to me, then there is no such thing as love. And I truly, truly believe, I'm gonna tell you, everyone, I truly believe that up until like a week ago, until I had this major healing about that 4-year-old incident when I was 4 years old. And I didn't realize it until then. But yeah, and so throughout my life, I have been in really abusive intimate relationships. I've been raped multiple times. Even in friendships, like people that I love, like I am like, if you are my friend, I am loyal until the day we die.
Yeah.
But a lot of betrayal, a lot of rejection, a lot of withdrawal.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I'm gonna say now I'm gonna share my age until I was 40, which is about like 8 years ago. That it was like all of a sudden something switched for me. And I had a major incident with my brother. He was living with me and he was pulling all the same stuff that he did when we were like 4 years old. And I just had enough of it.
Yeah.
And I really stepped in to my power, and it was kind of at that time where like my spirit, I'm going to say kind of my spiritual abilities never went offline, but I started recognizing them again.
Mhm.
And I was like, there is more to this than being abused my entire life, even in workplaces. Like I can't tell you every workplace that I had where I worked with men sexually harassed, and then beat up by HR, like trying to fire me.
Right.
So it's just been like very intense, like crazy. So, anyways, so at the age of 40, I was like, I'm done with this. And there was a major incident that happened with my brother. And I had called my parents and I was like, I am done. I am done with this. And of course, I was a liar and everything else, everything that I'd been called my entire life, even though the one thing about me is I'm so candid about stuff that like it blew my mind that my mom and dad just thought I was a liar. And yeah, so when I stepped into that, all I remember is my mom screaming and yelling at me and telling me that I was no longer their daughter and that I no longer existed in their world. And 8 years later, I've not connected. I've been estranged from them. But the moment that happened, I'm going to tell you everything opened up. Because
Mm.
we do pick our parents when we come in, and part of that is part of our own soul journey and our own growth. And would I take any of that back because they were kind of the snowball that got it started that led to everything else? Absolutely not. Because through the abuse, through the rape, through the harassment, through all of that, it really helped me see that the thing that I came in to learn was really what love was all about. And that is really what our work is. It's about, oh, I'll get so emotional. I'm so sorry. But it's about love and not like the lowercase Love, the capital Love type
Mhm.
of love where we connect with each other's souls. We are really oneness. And even in the dark shadows, there is so much healing that happens. And it's not bad because, a lot of times we think that light and dark, like light is amazing and darkness is so bad. But darkness is just as beautiful as light because that's where the true pieces of ourselves, like honestly, kind of sneak around the corner of those shadows where the light can be shined on them. And they're nothing to be guilty or shameful about. It's just it's just the beauty and the evolution and the magic that happens when you truly get to heal yourself and it's your decision to do it. And it's so empowering. And I think that's really what a lot of these healers go through.
Mhm.
And that's why there's so many of us that are like, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to necessarily per se heal you because I can't do that. That has to be your choice. But I will hold that container. I will hold that space for you. I used to always tell my friends when they were like down in the dumps, I'd be like, I'm climbing in your cave with you and I will sit next to you and I will hold that space to you until you're ready to talk, cry, or if we just need to sit in silence, I will hold that space of love for you. Sorry, I did a major healing last week, so I'm still pretty raw from it. But like this was what I needed to heal. And my heart space is so wide open.
Yeah.
And I have so much love for everyone in this world and even beyond. There's just like the information and the downloads that I often get are on such a grand scale that I really do see how we are all connected, even beyond Earth. Like it's just incredible. So, I think sharing our stories is the most powerful thing that we can do
Hmm.
for one another because during my journey in my silence, I was so alone. I
Yeah.
felt so alone and just and not and solitude is good, but not solitude when there is loneliness and you don't feel like you're understood and you feel like people really don't like you.
Hmm.
That is what I spent 40 years. Well, we'll say 36 because the first four were really good. But like I spent 36 of those years just going, what is wrong with me?
Hmm.
And so, that's really what my work is focused on, just bringing people together, bringing community together, and letting people know that you're not alone and your journey is nothing to be ashamed of. We've all have something. So let's not judge it. Let's embrace it because once the moment that we embrace it for all that it is, we now get to see your soul and how magnificent and radiant it is.
What
So
what was the shift in story? Because I feel like that is so relatable and and kind of heavy, but something that a lot of people carry around of like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough, but what is wrong with me? And then trying to either appease people or fit into a box or not be your full self. Like that is such a common experience. And as you've gone through your healing since you were 40, and then even in the last week, how are you finding that story change?
So I think the first thing is going into it in the mindset that I don't need to be fixed because I've never been broken.
Mm,
And really taking a step back and just looking at it from that neutral standpoint of what it is.
mhm,
And we came here to have experiences. Like, believe it or not, we came here to have these experiences so we can grow, so our soul can see who we are. But you know what it was, even
mm,
at 40 and even up until a week ago, is just accepting all of who I am
mm,
and not caring what other people think or how they feel about me because in all reality our inner world is a reflection of our outer world.
mhm,
And so if I believe that my outer world is showing me isolation, betrayal, rejection, all of these things, that it's really about something that I'm not accepting about me. Like we're not accepting about ourselves. And once we truly step into that and be like, wait a minute, I like, in all honesty, nobody else is going to take care of you except for you. This experience and this journey that we're on is only going to be experienced by you.
mhm,
Then the best thing that I can do is just accept who I am.
mhm.
And that's really something that happened to me just last week when I did like this major healing. There was this, and like, I'm going to tell you, I fully let go and accepted it. And the moment that I did that, it was like this burst happened in my heart. And I felt love again, the capital LOVE, love.
Mm,
And that love came from me,
mm.
nobody else but me. And there is no better love than the love that you have for yourself. And it begins with acceptance. And I mean, there's a lot of crap that comes with acceptance.
Yeah,
But the moment you do that, all that stuff that comes with it, you see it in with such a different lens
yeah.
than the jaded, conditioned program lens that we all have.
I have heard from some other healers and highly intuitive people that they themselves experienced abuse as a child. And know of a lot of other highly intuitive people and empaths that experienced abuse as a child. And in one in particular, Timothy Long, he says that his experience and his reconciliation of it was I was so radiant as a child that what I reflected back, I was such a pure mirror that what I reflected back to my parents and to those in authority, they were not able to handle. So they took that out on
Yeah.
me. And I'm wondering if, especially because I'm sure this is going to touch a lot of people who do identify as highly intuitive and empathic, and where there's still may be some confusion of why did that happen? And I'm just wondering if you've come across that theme or if that has been your experience, that the very thing that makes you radiant may elicit some fear in other people, especially adults, that will project that onto a child.
Oh, yes. Like I haven't met Timothy Long, but in my opinion, he nailed it. I really believe that that is what it is because especially as a child, because you are so pure, you do nothing but show your radiance.
Mhm.
And it is in that radiance that we become the mirror for that person. And it's like, and think about it this way. And this is one of the ways that I was able to really forgive my parents because it was really hard for me.
Sure.
I'd be a liar if I said I didn't have like serious resentment. But when I started looking at it from that perspective, and that, okay, I'm just a mirror, like all I'm doing is mirroring back at them, it made me realize like this is years of programming and conditioning that they have had
Sure.
from their experiences, their caregivers, and even from even in past life stuff, we still carry those imprints over. And even in the healing that I did last week with my dad, I saw him in such a beautiful, pure way when I got to see his inner child that was hurting.
Yeah.
And I got to see the radiance of that child, and it completely changed the way I saw him because I went from he was this really mean piece of crap, right? And the same thing with my mother too. He has that radiant child inside of him, and had the same experience. He was just reflecting out what people weren't ready to see. And I think that's a natural reaction from the human side of us is that if we've and half the time we don't even know, but when that energy comes to us, we have that natural reaction of resistance, however that may be. Like my dad screamed, yelled, and up until the age of 10 beat me. My mom went into complete silence and acted like I never existed, and then completely narcissistically and emotionally abused me. And when I looked at it from that standpoint, that we all are still all are radiant children that have now have these layers and thick layers and layers of all of this programming and conditioning, that when we step into that radiance, it goes straight through to the soul, which is why I feel that the reaction can become so harsh
Yeah.
because that's a powerful energy and a powerful connection of what you're mirroring back. And, at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings, but we're still here in human form trying to have also that experience, that 3D experience. And that's all part of it. And that's all part of the experience that we get to have. And I think that's very exciting. And when we just, again, go back to accept that radiance that we have, you start to look at the world in a completely different way. Like when the jerk that's, in a like trying to get somewhere really fast and they cut you off and you actually have to swerve, right? At first, we kind of react like, oh my gosh. But then, you know what? At the end of the day, he has a radiance within him too. He's
Mhm.
just being human. And I'm not saying that it's okay and we should let things go because I really do believe in accountability and responsibility. But when we look at it from that lens, we don't come at it from the standpoint of being angry or, thinking that that person is a jerk. We actually have compassion and we say, okay, you know, this will be his, this is what he will have to do, but I get to choose on how I want to react to it.
That's such a good point, and I think it disarms that internal fear that we have that maybe there is something wrong with me, maybe there's a reason that they did that. And so accept going inward and looking at it and accepting ourselves can feel really scary of not wanting to confront that possibility that there is something wrong when the truth is, like with you, you are so radiant and you have found a way to show your radiance again in a safe in a way that feels emotionally safe for you.
Mhm.
Will you talk a little bit about your what you now offer that is from this compassion and understanding you have around this experience of abuse?
Yes, so oddly enough, I've been doing healing for quite some time. I've
Mhm.
never really put like a name or a label on it, like we all do. We try it like angel healing or you know. And I'm not saying any of that is wrong, but I like like we talked about before we came on. I've been through the thick of it recently of trying to navigate life, and I remember in all honesty, I was sitting there taking a bath and I'm like, well, I just asked. I'm like, what is it that I do? Like, I just kind of put it out there, like yelled it out there. And then it came back to me. Like, it was really interesting because all of a sudden I started getting all of these visions of like, and I like structure. I'm a systems person of the structure of how I work with people.
Mm.
And and then there was this sense of comfort, and I'll talk a little bit more how I work with people, but then there was this sense of comfort because when I looked at it, it was in a way that like I needed. And what I needed was to just be me and be okay with it and just have somebody just allow it to flow versus you have to do it this way and this way and that way. And even though I said I like structure and systems, it really came to me that it was these 8 pillars that came to me. And so I call it my clarity method because in it we get very clear and we get clarity of not all the stuff that's on the outside, but all the stuff on the inside that we have always been.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's easier to have some steps and structure to it, but every step and structure is your experience. It's not me telling you how to do it. It's just a guide on like letting you experience yourself. Because I want to go back to your point about facing like kind of facing ourselves, and we always like thinking, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, which is really interesting when we have that belief. That's not true, everyone. That's completely false. But when we have that question of what's wrong with me, that's the furthest that we go because we are so terrified that we might actually discover what's wrong with us.
Yes.
But that's where the lie is of like the belief. And that's where the disconnect happens from us really remembering, not discovering. It would be like a rediscovery of who we've always been. And when we can allow ourselves to move through that,
Hmm.
then we get to really see who we are. And like this will probably sound very braggy, but after I've done that, I was like, I am a really awesome person. You know what I mean? And we all are that. So I want
Hmm.
everyone to know I believe that about every one of you. But the clarity method is really a process to just bring you back to home and see that radiance. And even though that we are scared to maybe discover the untruth of that there might be something that's really wrong with us, it's it's a process that not only I want to teach people how to do it themselves, but in the meantime, I want people to know I will hold that space for you and I will hold it for you so much that as we move through this, even when something feels difficult, I've got your back. Like I've got you. Um and really, it was just created out of all of those years of all of that mess that I experienced and that I went through to create this really, what I feel is a really beautiful process. And just recently, I got a download that the process actually aligns with the 7 Hermetic principles And if people don't know what that is, it is we have seven universal laws that whether we know it or not, we are living by them moment to moment to moment. And getting to understand who we are is a moment to moment thing.
You know
So,
what is so strikes me so much about that too is how it's so centered in the fifth chakra of silence being a response to the abuse and
mhm,
like really shutting things down and the pain that comes from not being seen and not being heard and not being known as yourself has now led to this creation of helping other people find that clarity by following universal laws
mhm,
that you didn't know about, but got the download and listened to it, and you have that discernment and expression meets discernment meets listening to help other people get there. Do you feel that fifth chakra energy?
yes. So it's so interesting because in all honesty, when finally opened up, I felt it in my higher heart. So there was there were like it was like there was like it was so jammed up here that it's like I can't get out.
Yeah.
And once that opened up and then my higher heart opened up, you know what? I love that you talked about like being seen and heard, and that recognition piece because my entire life I was like, why don't people hear me? Why don't people see me? Why can't I just be recognized? And so what did I do? I tried to speak louder. I tried to be more, of course, when you try to be more out there, people are like, you're too much, which is not a bad thing, everyone. But
Yeah.
like we internalize that as something bad. But my entire life, I was like, hear me, see me, this is me.
Yeah.
But what I realized is that in order to be seen and heard, I have to see and hear myself first. It's not an outward thing, it's an inward thing. So the moment that I like honestly, and I still don't feel like it's 100% cleared. There's still
Sure.
stuff that I need to keep working on. But that clearing made me realize, well, wait a minute, in order to be seen and heard and recognized, I have to see and hear and recognize myself. And for the first time since before the age of 4, I finally see myself. And that is, if for me, that I'm gonna get emotional again because I feel like that is everything for everyone. Everyone just needs to be seen and heard, and it starts with you. And that's, I'm going to tell you, like, that is the way that my work has progressed into. It's gone from like energy healing to whatever I need to do, whatever support I need to give you to help you see you
Hmm.
on the inside is what I want to do. Because once you are in that space and in that frequency, guess what your outside world reflects? Everything that is inside. And it is a really beautiful transformation when you start to see it happen, or when people just all of a sudden they're like, oh, like I'm awesome too. And I'm like, hell yeah, you are.
It could be
But
so nice to have a guide on that first journey to know that you're going to be okay. Because you're right, it is ultimately all of our own inner journey that we have to take, and no one can take it for us. But having a guide or a few guides, a few teachers, a few
yeah.
people that are like, this is my map of how I got there. It's probably going to be a little bit different for you, but I can help you and I can spot certain pitfalls and help guide you inward. That is so valuable because it is so scary, but it's like so gorgeous when
Mm,
everyone knows what I'm talking about when you've gone inward a little bit and are like, I do love myself. It's so
yeah.
gorgeous. I was just jamming out to Whitney Houston's
I love it.
Greatest Love of All this last weekend too.
Yes. Oh my
Totally
gosh, I
feeling
love
it.
it.
Hmm.
Oh, but it's so true. And I love that you said that to have like a guide or many guides because when you are in that process of just going within and remembering, it's always about remembering who we are because that's what that like who we are is not damaged, not broken, nothing. It is very beautifully perfect. And you know, if if chakra healing works for you, that's amazing. Do it.
Sure.
Do it, do it, do it. If you want to do chakra healing with quantum healing or angel healing or astrology or like I love human design, or like, like with Clarity Method, like use it.
Yeah.
The source, the universe, God, however it resonates with you, provided and helped us create all of these tools. We all got downloads to create these tools so we can just be the people I say the people in the human form, but that the spiritual beings we came to be. Like, and and all I ever say is just do what resonates with you. And don't feel bad if like you're doing something and it resonates and then all of a sudden something else resonates, because your soul is just guiding you to every beautiful thing that it needs. So I love that you said that, because I think sometimes, especially when people are in the beginning stages of their healing, they think this is the only way to do it. And it's not. Like there are infinite amount of ways to do it. Take advantage of anything that resonates with you, because at the end of the day, when you go to bed, the only person that matters is you.
Mhm.
So you do what you need to do that healing, to do that expanse, that to get to that expansiveness that you want, to be that beautiful being that is so radiant. So,
So
yes.
beautifully said, Kelly, and your story is triumphant and painful and cathartic. So I so appreciate you sharing and being really vulnerable with us. Your you have a number of offers and you have a community online, so we'll make sure to link that below. Are there any final messages that you want to share with audience members?
Yes. What I'd love to share is number one, you are awesome. And know that there are so many of us out there that really do see you. So when you are doing your journey, the more that you let go and you go past that fear of what you might find, know that as you do that, more and more beautiful people that see you will come and support you. I think that's one of the things that when you're in your lonely journey, you think, oh my gosh, nobody is going to come. But that's not true, because you will vibrate that frequency out, as within, so without, it will come to you. And there's so many of us that are in this healing, or that are in the healing field,
Yeah.
because we understand, like we have been through it, that we truly do. We may not understand 100% what your experience is, but we definitely can empathize with it, and we would have some sort of understanding about it. But all of us just want to help you. Like that's really what we want. We want to help you. We want to support you. And most importantly, we want to love you. And what I mean by you is we are really here. We are loving your soul. So when you work with your healers, don't worry about judgment or what are they thinking, or oh my gosh, if I act this way, or mine was I can't cry, what would they think about me?
Mhm.
You know what? We're all coming from that same place within source. That is nothing but pure love, nothing else. And that's what we have for you. And that's what we want you to have for you. So when you go in to do your own healing, it comes from that space,
Mhm.
because it does radiate out like it just to all of us.
So
So,
beautifully
yeah.
said. We could talk for hours. We'll have to do a part two to all of this. And thank you again, Kelly, for sharing on Shame to Shine. Take care,
Thank you,
everyone.
Steph.